Hello, patrons, and welcome to Beyond the Screenplay, the podcast where each episode we do a conversational deep dive analysis into a film. Today we are talking about Wake Up, Dead Man, a Knives Out mystery, the 2025 film written and directed by Rian Johnson. I'm joined, of course, by the Beyond the Screenplay team, Trisha Rand.
Hello, everyone.
Brian Bittner.
Hello, hello.
And Alex Calleros.
Hi.
All right, so here we are with the third installment of the Benoit Blanc series of things. And
good initials, that man.
Yeah.
I see.
How long has it been since Glass Onion? Was that 2 years?
2
It feels
years.
like it's been a long time, weirdly.
It's been a long year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's a true statement
Ooh.
right there.
a long day.
It's been long, everybody. So reflecting on Knives Out, the first one that came out, it was this sort of came out of nowhere feeling, movie. That was the pandemic year, right? And Rian Johnson was just like, I'm just going to create a new IP. And it was like, this is a totally new thing. And it has this meta awareness of the, detective mystery thing. And Daniel
And that was
Craig is
2019.
2019.
It was
Okay, so
pre-pandemic,
it was pre-pandemic.
and then Glass
Okay.
Onion was post-pandemic.
It was
Yeah.
post Last Jedi. That's what it was.
Post-Last
Yes,
Jedi,
it
Where I
correct.
picture him kind of
Mhm.
hold up as if it were the pandemic and just writing to himself. um, and was a lot of fun. And then it was like, yes, make more of these. And Glass Onion was weird. I feel like I enjoyed it, but it was, I just remember it being weird. But it had those things that I was starting to come to really like from these movies, which is this big ensemble cast. And it's just fun to watch these actors do all these things. But then it had been a couple years, and so I wasn't really sure what to expect from Wake Up, Dead Man, and I avoided all trailers and all the different things. And I feel like the real mystery that I'm looking forward to solving tonight is, what is my issue with Rian Johnson movies? Because I feel like they're all really, really well made, but for some reason, they're always less than the sum of their parts for me. And so I can sit here and I'm going to list, like, it's really clever, thematically strong, great performances, like fun to watch, twisty and turny. It like checks all the boxes. But for some reason, when I was watching it, I was pretty like unplussed, unfazed, like by a lot of it. And so there are some specific bumps that I have of just like, I wanted more from the cast. Like, you have this cast, and I feel like Kaylee Spaney has like 4 lines in this. And so there's weird expectation things. But I don't know. There's just something about it that like didn't click for me, but there's no objective reason why. So that's the mystery that I'm looking forward to trying to solve tonight. I feel like, Trisha, I have
I
to
was
now
gonna
let you
say.
speak.
I wholeheartedly disagree with you. I love this movie. I should like contextualize that I would call myself a pretty big Rian Johnson fan. I have loved him since Brick. Like, there's something about his writing that like speaks to my soul. I feel like I know him somehow. I just think that we have so many really technically proficient filmmakers, writer directors these days, but nearly all of them feel like they are more proficient as directors than they are as writers. And so like I always end up coming out of one of those movies where I'm just like, wow, that movie was stunning, and then I have all these like sort of script problems with it or bumps or like whatever. With the exception of something like One Battle After Another, which we talked about recently, where I was just like, damn, you did it. But that's, again, it feels like it's more made on the screen than it is on the page. And so I feel like Rian Johnson is a writer. And that's one of the things that I really love about going to see his movies, is that he really knows his way around story. He knows his way around characters and theme and genre. And like, I just feel like this movie is probably so far for me the best of the 3 Knives Out movies, and I like all of them a lot. Like, I like them all a lot. And this one feels like the series has hit a stride where it's allowed to be about something other than Benoit Blanc, and it's allowed to be this commentary on this, in this case, third aspect of like our sociopolitical culture and like who we are. And I've read some reviews that are calling this movie like it feels a little bit more timeless, where the others feel really timely and sharp and salient, but like a little bit more like fleeting. That the moment in which they were created was sort of like Ryan Johnson like hit something in the zeitgeist right then, and then like will they stand the test of time? I don't know. But this being this very rich conversation about faith and religion, like organized religion and its place in America, I feel like it's definitely saying something about this current political moment, but also feels like it cuts to the heart of like sort of an existential religious question. And as someone who has been on my own faith journey also throughout my life, it just could not speak more directly into my soul. And in addition to being just like entertaining as hell and a great mystery and really fun to watch. So I've seen it twice now. I went and saw it in the theater. And then when it came out this weekend, I watched it on Netflix. I would watch it again tomorrow. I feel like it's so rich for study. And I've like told everybody that I know that is like comes from a faith background to like run, don't walk to watch it, because if you do come from that world, it's so it just feels so honest. And I know that I read a review today or an interview today with Ryan Johnson where he talked about his like background as being raised really conservatively Christian and was personally very religious for a lot of his life, and kind of the things he wanted to explore with it. And you can just tell, like, I wish I had written this movie. I feel like um it just is so for me. So I can't wait to get into it with you guys.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that it's very theme forward. It knows what it's about. It explores it from lots of different angles and is very effective. Watching it, I was like, Trisha will love this movie. It was like, it was immediately
Guess
clear.
what I do? I really do. So yeah.
Yeah. Brian, what about you?
I somewhere in the middle in the sense of not being very far on either side, but overall, just hell yeah, make these forever is like my main takeaway of just like I am very happy that we're 3 movies in, and it seems like he is like knocking it out of the park every time, even if I have gripes, even if I'm always gonna go, well, this one, like dramatic question in Glass Onion, there's like isn't one until like halfway through the movie. It's like, why are we at this weird island? Is like the dramatic question for a lot of that movie. And but like at the same time, it maybe it's like incredibly a fun or like a really fun movie. I saw someone who had posted something where they were like, I love Knives Out so much. I also love Glass Onion, but Knives Out I think is like a way better movie, da da da. But if you ask me which one I'd want to watch right now, I'd probably say Glass Onion in terms of just like the quality versus the fun aspect. And I feel like Wake Up Dead Man is like a better movie than Glass Onion, but I also feel like it's the least fun of the 3 for me in terms of just like the joy. Like I expected to want to watch it again on Netflix on Friday when it came out, and instead I was like, no, I think I'm good. I think I have like a lot of it in my head. I don't know that I want to like go on that ride again right now. I might in 3 months, but I just didn't have that immediate let's go again kind of feeling.
It's definitely the least funny. Like, I'll give you that.
Right.
It certainly feels like the least satirical, like what it's pulling apart is not as fun. Like, it's really easy, Glass Onion is like, look at these dumb influencer tech bros and like just set them up and knock them down. And this feels like it's really grappling with something of weight.
Right. And I think also, so I'll get into kind of some bumps that I had along the way and then which ones got smoothed out and which ones didn't. First of all, we just have the whole first act of the movie, which is, hey, the Good Friday murder, let me tell you about everything that led up to it. So we have 40 minutes of here's a whole bunch of people. There's no Benoit Blanc. There's no whodunit yet because it hadn't been done. And then I was kind of like, okay, this is all fine. Like, it's not bad, but I'm just kind of like waiting for the knives out of it all, right? But then once you get into the second act and we have the murder and we have Benoit Blanc, now it's like all that work has been done. And then now, whereas like Glass Onion, we're going to stop in the middle of the movie and do this like really, really long, I think like 25-minute flashback, which again is fine. It's not bad. It's just that was like a little weird to be sitting there for the first like 40 minutes of a Knives Out movie, just like watching some exposition before the knives out of it all, right? But then, like I said, once we got going, then we got going, and all that work had been done. But I think that's also part of what kept it from feeling like, ooh, like Benoit Blanc's going to be here and he's going to be interviewing people and this kind of thing. I will say I'm so glad the structure of all three of these movies is so different. So I feel like I'd rather he do like the second best option if it means being different from one of the previous movies rather than doing the best, but it's really similar to, the previous one. So then my other one was just, as you mentioned, Michael, like the cast, the rogues gallery of suspects and everything was not nearly as like big and boisterous as the other movies. They're like cartoon characters in the first two movies. And I think what does them a disservice in this movie is they all have the same sort of motive and belief for the first half of the movie. They're all just sort of like extra heads of Wicks, with their own little idiosyncrasies and stuff. At the midpoint, though, then I leaned forward once it was like, oh, Cy has this new thing, and then this is how his mother feels about it, and this is how Kaylee Spaney feels about it, which is different from that. I was like, oh, okay, now they feel like they feel like individual characters, right? But then also by the end, when they were like, where are they now? Like, he's got a bunch of Walter Sobchaks at his book signing, and she's playing the cello. I'm like, I don't really know what that means for these characters because I don't feel like I know them well enough to have spent time with them. I also know, Trisha, as you probably have felt from seeing it twice, like those things reveal themselves over time. And I love that these movies feel just like richer and richer the more that you watch them, right? But the first time through, I was just like, I don't know that I really am excited about most of this cast of characters. The cast, yes. The characters, meh. And I think those two things, the slow first act and that cast of characters, is what made me feel like this. I'm just not having like as much on a fun ride kind of fun watching this movie. At the same time, I'm enjoying all of it, and I was very satisfied by the end. Last thing I'll say is the whodunit of it all. One, I'm glad it wasn't spoilers for Knives Out and Glass Onion. Fast forward 10 seconds. I'm glad it wasn't the privileged bro for the third time, because there was one, and I was just like, if it's him, then we got a little bit of a problem here. I felt in the opening act, I was like, okay, well, Glenn Close is our obvious, suspect here, like, and I feel like if it's her, it's a little too obvious. And then it was, but it was awesome. Like it was, but like for all these different, I thought it was going to be the like, I believe in the church so much, I'll do whatever, I'll even kill people just to keep the church going. So like, and it wasn't that at all. It was like totally different, like her whole backstory. And we're not upset that Wicks is dead, right? Like that like the way that they paid it all off, the way that they set it up and then paid it off, and made you like care about the killer at the end, and like kind of like root for what she was going for, was so well done and exciting that I didn't care in the least that I had a very strong guess of who it was. So yeah, overall had a great time. And I don't really care if this is my least favorite of the three or the second. I don't really care. They're great, and I want them to keep happening, and I'm gonna always be excited by them. And I inevitably some of them are going to be worse than the others, and that's totally fine.
Yeah. I definitely want to come back to that first act and talk about it. And then kind of, to me, a lot of what you're saying taps into the sort of the meta-ness of these movies. And I think that's something that I struggle with and wrestle with while watching them, because it feels like it's trying to wrestle with me and it always wins. And I don't know how I feel about that. So the cleverness and the meta-ness of all of that, I do want to talk about. But first, Alex, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everybody. Basically, like the things you identified, Brian, I also was feeling on my first viewing. I watched it twice, like you, Trisha, in theaters and then at home, and I did like it better the second time. And I think what really hit for me the second time was the thematic core of the movie, and honestly, just Josh O'Connor. I just
Right?
He's
freaking
amazing.
love Josh O'Connor in
Yeah.
everything, but like he is the heart of this movie. His performance is so beautiful and lovable and perfect, and I just think, yeah, he is what makes this movie feel elevated in a way above the previous two Knives Out movies. Like, if I'm thinking about these in terms that you're talking about, Brian, I do still think about the first movie as like, I will watch that first movie anytime, any day. It'll be so much fun. That cast with this kind of like that pops off the screen is going to be so much fun. But this movie, I was really moved by it. And Josh O'Connor at the heart of this thematic thing it's wrestling with was like so beautiful. And so I do agree with you, Trisha, that this feels more timeless and it feels deeper and richer, and will stand the test of time maybe more than the previous two movies. And I think it felt like the movie cared about that the most and it serviced that the most. And so if some other Knives Out expectations were kind of not as fun as before, they were often sacrificed, I think, in the service of we're going to hit this theme and hit this
Right.
thematic debate as hard as possible. And also just I love these movies for they do offer the present day catharsis. You know, they are engaging with our exact moment we're in the year they come out. And it's always very cathartic to kind of feel this primal scream from Rian Johnson about what's going on in our world.
Hope you enjoyed this preview clip. To continue the conversation and listen to the entire episode, head over to the Beyond the Screenplay Patreon. The link is in the show notes.